The Tea Party landed on the American political scene 5 years ago with rallies in cities across the U.S. Their rallying cry, shrink big government, big taxes and big national debt, and a return to the country's founding principles. Tea Party candidates helped Republicans make gains in the 2010 midterms, but then lackluster results in 2012. Last week, they gathered in Washington, D.C. to celebrate their 5th birthday. Our chief Washington correspondent, Jessica Murphy, was there and joins us now. Jessica, good to see you. Does this Tea Party still have some gas in the tank? Do they think they'll still be shaping the national agenda in 5 years, 10 years from now?
Absolutely. They think they're going to be a really strong part of the political dialogue. They say they are definitely more than just a flash in the pan. They are not just going to be a footnote in U.S. political history. In fact, they say, hey, we're maturing and we're evolving. I want you to listen to this man, name of Bill Norton. He's one of the members of the Tea Party Patriots.
The shift has happened 5 years ago when the Tea Party movement came. You can't hear any political discussion now without somebody asking, well, what does the Tea Party think about it? We're only 5 years old, and that's remarkable that the discussion in Washington has changed so dramatically because the people decided to stand up and let their voice be heard. And I think that voice is continuing to be heard and will continue to be a loud voice in politics, both local and on a national level.
Now, a couple of points there, David. He does talk about the local level, and he said, yeah, well, we didn't see as great results as we wanted in 2012. But you know what? Tea Party candidates are doing well. He said everywhere from running as candidates at the school board level and on up. And also, back in 2010, we saw big names. Rand Paul, for example, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio. All of these guys were elected in 2010 to the U.S. Senate. And hey, guess what? We talk about them all the time because they might be running for president in 2016. So they are still part of that scene. And one surprising thing, though, I want to note, speaking of the movement itself maturing. I mean, they started off really as, you know, out there with protest signs, really this rowdy grassroots movement. Well, now, you know what, they're mature enough. They actually have a PR firm. I spoke with one of the guys who helped run the Tea Party PR. He said he knows that sometimes they're seen as kooks, that they're painted as kooks because they have sort of a fringe part of this grassroots movement that sometimes shows up in T-shirts. I saw one guy at this event, just one, I'll note, and there are hundreds of people there, with a T-shirt that said Obama is a Marxist and a racist. And of course, he was being interviewed by TV cameras. And he says, well, we have to be careful. We know that sometimes people think that's who we are, but we're much bigger, much broader, a movement with a message like low taxes that a lot of people can support, David.
Well, and you know, that is, if I can allow a little media criticism here, the mainstream media, sometimes we go to a Tea Party event, we look for the guy who's way out there. We go to a pride event, you look for the gay person who's the most flamboyant and near naked, et cetera, et cetera. You look for those extremes. Maybe we shouldn't do that. One of the interesting things about the Tea Party's evolution over the last 5 years is that obviously right out of the gate they were enemies of the Democrats, and Democrats were ready to take some shots at them. But over the 5 years, Republicans have also, some Republicans, and particularly the establishment Republicans, they're now the enemies of the Tea Party and vice versa.
Absolutely. And this is something that I asked a lot of the people I spoke with. I asked about it. I said, what do you think? Is this an issue for the party? Or do you think you're going to see a third party emerge, for example? And they said no, that in fact, this type of tension within a political party, within the Republican Party, is healthy, that you have this dialogue and that in the end it'll become a better party for it. But they also acknowledge that in some cases, Tea Party candidates like Senator Ted Cruz and others who've been attacked by the establishment, for example, Republican wing of the party, for not compromising. Sometimes they're just taking an important stance. Here's Catherine Engelbrecht. She works for the conservative True the Vote organization.
Change is hard. And anybody that's going to step out and away from the status quo and rock the boat a little bit, they're going to get some of that feedback that says, hey, this doesn't feel like it always has. History will tell, time will tell how important those actions of Senator Cruz and Senator Lee and others have been.
So really saying that there are certain things, again, that you don't compromise on, and those are, you know, what you hear when you go to these Tea Party events. It is about the Constitution, it is the constitutionally limited government, low tax, free markets, and the founding principles of the United States. And there are certain things that you don't compromise on, for example, and they're saying, no, we have to take these stances, and whether or not that causes tension in the party, that's not really a problem, David.
Jessica Murphy in Washington for us tonight. Thanks, Jess. Appreciate it.